following podcast may contain some adult language. You've been warned.
Those of you who got an invite, welcome to Nerd Prom.
No matter where in the world you are, we're all Nerds International. With the hyphen.
Welcome to Finding the Narrative, the Genesys RPG Podcast. This is a show dedicated to the Genesys role-playing system from Fantasy Flight Games, a show in which we, your hosts, discuss all things Genesys from both a player's and a GM's perspective. I am Tony Fanning, and with me as always are my awesome friends and co-hosts, Chris Holmes and Stefan Dragonspawn. How are you doing, fellas? Chris?
I'm doing great.
Stefan. No, I'm doing pretty good, man. You've got that silky smooth voice tonight, Tony. Damn.
Oh, sorry.
My credit cards are melting. Fuck you, Jamie. Bastard. And thank you for showing me Legion. Yes. Yeah, whatever.
We have to get that economy going, you know.
Yes, we do. Signing my paycheck over to FFG, you know. Okay, anyways, next.
Get a official sponsorship t-shirt.
How about you, Stefan? How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing pretty good. Last week, to celebrate my birthday, which was yesterday, recording this Sunday the 17th. Mm-hmm. Today's the 18th. My wonderful husband, we went to Toronto for the weekend and went to this awesome restaurant called Stormcrow Manor. It's an old house they renovated into a pub, but it's everything geek and nerd that you can throw in. So you've got rooms that are medieval. We actually dined in the cyberpunk room with lots of industrial piping and old posters of Terminator and other cyberpunk
that was where,
movies.
Toronto?
In Toronto, yep.
Yeah, my wife and I will have to meet you guys there sometime.
Yeah. Big pink tentacles outside, skeletons of this, face huggers hanging on the walls.
Wow.
The little Christmas lights with the alphabets underneath, a la Stranger Things.
Nice.
Even the baby changing table and one of the bathrooms is filled with text about place the offering upon thy altar to the waste god Cthulhu, Cthulhu god altar,
awesome.
Kind of thing. The menu, of course, is awesome with all kinds of stuff with Star Trek, Star Wars, Doctor Who, and other sci-fi.
Mm-hmm.
Drinks and food names. I had a drink called the Blade Runner, which is pinkish, and they actually put an LED waterproof cube in there.
Sweet.
Glows. One of my other friends, he had a Romulan ale with dry ice. And
wow, that's cool.
At the back of the menu, the best thing is the shooters that you can order. Mm-hmm. They're on a D20 table. So
you get to randomly roll your shooter?
Yeah. So the server comes over with a D20, you roll the dice, and of course all the names are based off of stuff. Like my first one was The Dark Knight.
Oh my.
And then I got another one, I forget the name, but it was still another sci-fi thing. And if you roll a 1, the server gets to choose because it's a critical fail.
Yep.
And if you get a 20, well, that's a critical success, and you get to pick, and you also get to keep the shot glass.
If you roll nat 20, that's cool. Yep. Now, are you rolling a die, or is your server rolling a die? Roll your own.
I rolled.
Right,
He just brings it out of his pocket there, and he's got a.
If you happen to know ahead of time, can you bring your own D20?
You can. Okay. Why not?
Just wondering.
They even have a little vending machine, like a bubblegum machine that sells D20s. You get 2 for $2.
That's cool.
No,
that's
it was
pretty
really
cool,
awesome.
Dude. That's pretty
really
Sounds
awesome.
like an awesome place.
Yeah, they have a couple of places in Vancouver as well, and they also have what they call a D&Dine. So basically a Dungeon and Dine event. So you can book ahead for you and up to 8 friends. and the server slash dungeon master runs you through a scenario for about 4 hours while you eat as well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That is cool.
So that was my birthday gift from.
Well, happy birthday, buddy.
Thank you.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, a young 53. level 53 reached.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
So
How
what
about
I
you, Tony?
had over the last week, well, you guys know I went on a diet. I'm on the keto diet. 4 pounds now at 10 days.
Cool.
Lost, so I'm doing pretty good.
Yep.
Of course, now I only drink straight whiskey. No flavor added.
No flavor? Okay. No.
Cool.
But no, this weekend we had my grandson Drist's birthday party.
Yeah.
And my other grandson, Anakin, he was watching Empire Strikes Back, and when it opens up in the Hoth scenes, and he immediately, as soon as we started it, he ran to his room, comes out with the Wampa hat that I had bought him.
Nice.
And my son turns to me and goes, he has to wear that every time we watch this movie.
There you go.
Oh,
Which is why my son had started it. Proud grandpa moment right there. It's like nerd father. Yeah.
50 pieces of awesome right there, dude. Cheers to you, buddy.
Yep. Put those in the bank, and they'll be worth a lot by the time you get into college.
That's
Yeah, I
So,
once
yeah.
went. My husband tried to go on a diet for a while. He was on a diet for 2 weeks and lost 14 days.
But
Yeah.
awesome.
All right. Well, enough about us. What
No,
kind of
no.
news do we have, Stefan?
Yeah.
Well, I had a bit of news, but first, how was your NivCon game of Kung Fu Panda?
Oh, it went great. We had a wonderful time.
Join, but
I felt like a kung fu master, dude. That was
I tell you what,
awesome.
though, I can't run it for novice players as is. Those characters are pretty in depth.
yeah.
But using a mix of things that I'd thrown together and Keith's rules for Ready Fight,
Right.
Keith Capples, it came out perfectly.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yes, it was the characters. Chris says Daryl said, my son said, my friend Dave, they all said they felt like kung fu masters. And I had done this cool effect where I was like, it's a setting rule where you can do a combo with somebody.
Yep.
And my
Signature
combo
move.
rule was,
signature move combo.
yep,
Nice.
I let the characters do their signature move combo together. So basically, first player would roll the positive dice of their pool. The second player would roll the positive dice in their pool. And as the GM, I would roll the negative dice of that pool.
Okay.
And it's just for one attack. So 2 players attacking, obviously there's going to be a lot more positive dice than there are negative.
But it's a combo move. So.
But it's a combo movie, right? Move. You're trying to team up on somebody. So the first player does the damage based on their attack, plus the total number of successes for both dice pools. And then the second player, with the choice of special weapon properties from those 2 attacks, determines how the advantage is spent.
Yeah,
And
nice.
then each individual player gets to spend their triumphs individually.
Right.
It took a bit to adjudicate it, but that was the fun part. Oh my gosh, that was so. It's like, oh dude, I have this ability, and then Dave had that ability, and then we kind of mixed and matched. I'm like,
And
well,
we
if you
rolled
do
9
this-
advantage, and we have 5 abilities we can trigger.
Exactly.
So then
Great.
all those minions go flying all over the place, or
the boss monster goes, oh, you little fucker!
Yeah, it went really well,
That
and it
was
was
great.
very thematic.
It was.
So
It was.
But
Your
I
story
know-
was great there, Tony. Definitely felt like, not only did we feel like Kung Fu Masters, we felt like Kung Fu Masters in Kung Fu Panda.
right. And did you rescue Poe?
yes,
We got the noodle cure.
Ah,
It-
nice.
which which allowed him to get up and moving before the festival so that he could attend.
Right. That's right.
Oh, there we
That
go.
was the whole point.
Exactly.
That's right.
The Dragon Warrior must be there.
That's right.
That's
Dragon
right.
Warrior must be there.
Nice.
Yeah, that was great.
All right.
Well, thanks for asking, Stefan.
Oh, no problem. I was looking forward to getting some feedback. So there we go. Yes, back to your original questions. Yes, a bit of news. A little while ago, a couple of days ago, last week, came out Drainsmith's new product on the Foundry called Zenithrix's Guide to Magic, which is now available on Drive-Thru-RPG Foundry. $2.95.
Well worth it.
And yeah, I read it. I got it and read it. Scott did a really pretty good job. It really helps new players or even new GMs to try and kind of grasp the Magic system, because comparing it to another popular D20 system, which has just a list of spells already made. In this one, of course, you make them up yourself, but nothing stops you from actually writing them up in advance.
Copper level right now.
Yeah, so that's what he kind of did. So he's got some basic examples in there, and then he threw in a few other little sidebars. And at the end, he adds 2 more magic actions that are very appropriate for psychics. So
Cool.
mind and move. So you can introduce these new ones with that power.
I just bought it and downloaded it on Drive-Thru-RPG as you were talking.
There we go. And now it's up to silver now, right?
No. Still
Not
copper.
yet. All right.
Still copper. I didn't put that much money in there
No, all right.
for
all
it.
right. So yeah, no, it's pretty good. It's about a dozen or so pages, but so like I said, different spells. Sometimes you'll have the same basic spell for, let's say, for an attack spell, but he describes it differently for an arcane or primal or divine spellcast.
It's definitely great for, like I said, running a con game. I can take those pages of spells and I can go, here, this is what some of the spells you're used to seeing in other games would look like.
That's it.
And I can pass that to a spellcaster in a con game or something like that.
And someone can easily take one of those spells and just modify them a little bit. It's like, I want to take that magic arrow and just make it longer range. Okay, no problem. But all the details are there. So that's my news. Go and get it. Make it silver.
Nice. And the expanded player's guide and GM screen is shipping now, I believe. I think I've been seeing people post that the things have been shipping out.
Yeah, I've got an email myself. I pre-ordered both, and it says that pretty soon it will be shipping. I'm just waiting for the email that says shipped. We're shipping.
Sweet. Which could be this Thursday, Tony, and you will probably win, because that was your guess this Thursday.
Yeah. We'll see.
Yep, we'll see. It'll be my mom's birthday.
Nice.
Then again, it could come out on Black Friday, which would totally be a not FFG thing to do, but I could see them doing it this year because,
Oh, we'll see.
So on to listener feedback.
Yes.
So
Do you have something on this week?
Yeah, I just had one thing I wanted to bring up, and it was a follow-up to a question that we had answered. Preach Will, he asked us way back in episode 39 how to make horror games better, and we gave him a bunch of things that he could do, Chris and I.
Yeah.
I think that was one where you were on a hiatus there, Stefan.
Could be.
But
I would suggest real wounds on players when they get hit. No?
No. That's a little too horrific.
Oh, okay.
Some people get passed out from blood,
Right. Okay.
Just the sight of it.
Maybe just threaten them with.
There you go.
Okay. Maybe not.
There you go. Yeah, that's real horror right there.
That's it.
So he just sent us this little bit of feedback, and I just wanted to share this because it's not often that we get follow-ups on the advice that we give and whether it was successful or not, or whether people just went, I ain't doing that. Fuck you. So he says, I just wanted to respond and say thank you for all the advice and suggestions. I finally got to run a couple of sessions with all the modifications and suggestions you gave me. They work wonderfully. This is the same group I usually run more heroic fantasy sessions with. So I needed to make it clear early on that this isn't a dungeon crawl in Golarion, which is the Pathfinder world for those not in the know. I stated the normal human opponents very simply. Just gave them an idea of what a basic enemy would be like in a fight. The wound thresholds and attacks you might expect from street thugs. But once the creepy space entity showed up, the tension flew through the roof.
Nice.
Fear checks as the creature observed the PCs like fresh prey. And the PCs were sorely aware that they were being watched and followed. Then, when it finally attacked with its razor-sharp claws, both pierce and sunder made it a dreaded opponent to face up close. The deadly encounters rule that you guys suggested came into effect after the ex-soldier tried buying time for the others to rig a trap. It really put the deadly back into the encounter.
So before you go on real quick, Tony, what was the deadly encounters rule again? What was that?
So the deadly encounters rule was anytime someone falls below their wound threshold, plus 50 to the critical.
Ooh.
Plus 50.
Nice. Nasty. Yep.
That was just something that I cooked up for Deep Madness. So if you go, and if you want some realism, that'll do it. Plus 50. And then if you add levels of Vicious or Lethal Blows talents, it can get real nasty.
If they go over their wound threshold, meaning that they're knocked
over their wound threshold.
Okay. Yeah, and they're knocked unconscious. That crit roll that you would roll, you add 50 to that. Plus however many crits they already have, lethal blows, whatever it is. Okay, gotcha. Holy crap.
So you could theoretically kill a character the first time they drop below their wound threshold.
Woohoo.
That's it.
Well, let's continue on. Sorry, I just didn't mean to interrupt. You still got a little more here.
Yep. All in all, my players said they had a fantastic time and were really scared once the monster showed up and took them by surprise. The ex-soldier can't believe he's still alive and will invest more ammo magazines for next time. Thanks again for your help, and may the dice be ever in your favor.
So somebody didn't get extra reloads, did they?
No!
Might have rolled a despair.
Maybe.
Despair or a lot of threats. It's like, oops, I'm going to take those 3 threats.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Click,
I'm
click.
glad it worked out for you, Will. I'm glad you shared that with us.
Yeah, appreciate that.
I'd love to hear about that kind of stuff. And
Me too.
Again, sorry for taking so long to get to follow up with that, but I really had to share that one this time.
Yeah,
that
that's
was a good one.
great. That is great. I want to play in that game now. That's cool.
Yeah, and don't threaten your actual players or even, that's not good. I was just goofing around.
We know.
Oh,
stuff.
you were? I thought
Yes.
you were serious.
No.
What?
No. Finding the Narrative Podcast does not condone.
You mean you don't make your players
at
roll
the table?
You don't make your players walk the walk of shame over D4s that you spread out on your floor after they drop dice on the floor?
No.
All right.
So the fact that you're saying you don't do this, but you made us do it at Con on the Cob,
Yeah.
you're just mean.
Damn, Stefan.
Well, I really, that's because I really love you guys.
Alrighty then.
We tease those we love. So, do you want me to tease you less?
All right. So on that note, I think we go to the next segment. How about that?
How about that?
All right.
I think it's a good idea.
Awesome. Welcome to 50 Pieces of Awesome. This is the show segment where Chris goes out on the interweb, puts on his monocle, and scours it for some sort of amazing free product out there for you guys, and shares it with us. What do you got this week, Chris?
Well, let's roll out. Yes, I am talking Robots in Disguise, Transformers for Genesis by
Autobots, roll out.
Damn! And that was not a soundbite that I edited into this. That was actually Tony that did that. Swear to God. I'm hearing that. I'm like, what the hell? And I see him doing something weird with his neck. Freaking awesome. Anyways, this is by, I think that is Zszree. Zieche. Zeke.
Or Zeke.
Zeke. Regardless, dude, this is like 15 pages of awesome. And, yeah, the art. Just going through this. Yeah. Just, Saturday morning cartoons, from, 30, 40 years ago. Brings me back, man. Brings me back. He put in rules in here to how you switch between your forms, which is a move action. There are also talents that allow you to do it quicker, which is cool. There are just 4 archetypes, either an air form, ground, beast, or object forms. All kinds of examples of these alternative forms, like helicopters or boom boxes or whatever, at the end of the document here. And it's pretty sweet. All the classes have starting gear. There is
starting gear.
Yeah, there's something here called an outlier skill, which is a new skill that they've created. It's a tier 1 talent, gifted. You have to buy that. Then you can, becomes a career skill for you, and then you can put points into it. It's basically a pseudo magic skill. Kind of gives you some magic-like abilities, and pretty sweet. And one of my favorite talents that I saw in here is called Running Start. When you do take your maneuver to change form, you can move as well, and you're at full speed.
Oh, yeah.
So that's so Transformers, right? And when you think of that...
Oh, exactly. When you see the sports car guys, sideswipe and prowl, like...
Oh, yeah.
Or the jets, of course.
Yeah, there's all kinds of goodness in here. I don't really want to spoil it or anything, but yeah, it's up on the... I'll put a link in the show notes to this, and and the character sheet. Pretty sweet looking, I think.
Oh, you have the character sheet too?
Is there a character sheet on this one? I think
not in the PDF itself. Maybe there's another link somewhere.
Maybe it wasn't. Let's see here. Transformers. Nope, there wasn't. So you just used a basic. Maybe I was thinking of something else. I go all over the internet. I go all the way to the end of the internet. I see all of these things. Again,
you fall down all the rabbit holes. I know.
You know what? Yeah. So what do you guys have anything to add to this?
I remember my brother had a lot of these Transformer toys. So I remember some of them, like even the triple changer. So you can actually have an extra form. So you don't just transform into a jet. You can have one that's also transform into a tank.
Oh, sweet.
That's pretty cool, because some of the toys did do that, or combiners. My brother loved the Constructicons that combined into one bigger robot, all 5 of them.
Oh, cool. So if everybody, the whole party creates objects, different pieces.
So, that's it. The Constructicons were various types of construction vehicles, a cement dumpster, a crane, whatever, and they can transform into personal robots themselves, but then they can also combine again, but into a bit like a Voltron kind of thing.
Yeah. Or everybody takes a beast form of a kitty cat, right?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, you did have the Transformer Maximals and the Predacon TV series for a while. Those were pretty cool.
Yeah.
I love the Fire Ant Predacon. He would always refer to Megatron as, yes, your royalty, yes, your highness, my queen. Oh, it's not my queen, it's...
Awesome.
Megatron would always be embarrassed when he called, yes, my queen.
That's cool.
Yep. Inferno, a fire ant kind of Transformer.
Sweet.
Oh, I'm just looking at this. I'm sorry. I was listening to you guys, but I was looking and seeing what's in here. Because, of course, I haven't looked at it yet. Love the art.
Page 14,
I agree with you there.
That's the kind of axe. That's the axe I want.
Yeah, the energy axe.
Yeah, dude.
I was really focused on looking at the adversaries, and I think they're well done. He captures what, fighting Decepticons all over the place would look like. So
Yep.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I like it. I do like it. There's no specific one for Megatron, which I like.
Mhm.
So
Fighter jet. Wasn't Megatron a fighter jet?
no,
No.
Depends on the version.
that'd be Starscream.
Starscream is that one. Okay.
Yeah. There was a couple of jets. Megatron in the first version transformed into the kind of a hand cannon. And others, and then in other iterations, he transformed into cannons or a T-Rex for the Predacon.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's a
He was all over the
Tyrannosaurus
place.
Rex. They do.
Yep.
Oh, he's got stats for a T-Rex. Silhouette 3, overland speed is 1, arm length 0. No, I'm just kidding.
Yep.
Max storage 15. Wait a second. Max storage. Oh yeah, 15. Defense 0, armor 1, Jaws,
Well, yeah.
brawl, damage 8, crit 3, pierce 1.
Yeah, that's
Awesome.
nasty.
That's cool.
Yep. Very nice.
Yeah, well done. Well done.
Yep, very good. So there you go. Zeech or Zechi or Zeke. 50 pieces of awesome to you. So take them, roll out, and transform.
All right, welcome all back to the books of Genesis. Ha, ha, ha. Where? Oh, I think Optimus is still here, isn't he? Sounds like it. Well, what we are going to do today, this is the Tales of the Epsilon Eclipse skill mixer that we're gonna. I see what you did there, Tony. So we're going to be talking about the skill list that we brainstormed on, that we're going to add, that we want to add to our setting, Tales of the Epsilon Eclipse. But first, let's go over how we design a skill, how we create a skill, and go through some of the notes that FFG put together in the core rulebook, page 190. Under customizing rules, the first one is how to create a skill. So, what do we do first, gentlemen? Who would like to go? I'll leave it to you.
Me? Oh, go for it, Chris. You go.
No, I introduced it. That's one of you guys got to pick it up now. I'm delegating.
All right, fine. I'm bringing up PDF now.
Oh, you didn't have it up and ready?
Well, I
know
read
Tony
it then.
does then.
So, characteristic links, that's the first thing you want to look at when you're designing a skill.
Yep.
Once you create a skill, you got to decide what characteristic to link it to. It helps to determine the dice pool when the character makes their skill check, blah, blah, blah. Going back, so they list an example that they're going to create for this scenario that they have for their customization rules, which is the swim skill. So they look at that, and then now they look at what would be appropriate for it. Agility, while fitness usually does take some agility, swimming's not really agility related, and while it does take willpower to compete in a competitive swimming, it's not really what you're looking for. What you're really looking for is physical strength, stamina, and conditioning, which means it falls under brawn. So likewise, if you're going to make your own skill, you want to take a look at all the different characteristics and make sure you choose the right one appropriately based on first of all, what you think it's going to do. Second of all, on what your other skills in the setting are going to do also.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's the first part of it. So like in the second example that they list here, flying drones. Your ability to fly drones is often agility based, but it can be intellect based because it's like operating computers. There is a case that can be made for both. Mm-hmm. If that's the case where you've got a skill that could be equally one or the other, pick the one that you think it fits best. If you can't do that, look at all the other skills on your skill list, and the one that has the least, go with that one.
Yeah, I would say. So I just watched Guardians of the Galaxy the other night, and what Rocket did when they were escaping, he made more of an intellect check to fly those drones to connect up to that central place. Even though he was flying it, I would say that'd be more of an intellect check to kind of wire it up, kind of do more of a computer hacking thing. So, yeah, that's interesting.
And as with anything, again, when you're making these skills, I want to mention right away that don't assume that your initial "this is what I want" is going to last. Maybe over play testing, that may change. If you decided that flying drones was an agility check, and then throughout play, all your players are like, well, I think this should be intellect because I use my intellect to use the computer interface. Yeah. Maybe your play testers are right. Change it to intellect.
Yeah, don't be locked into one choice.
Yeah,
don't be locked into it. Don't be afraid to scrap something that isn't working. That's rules number 1 and 2 at the very top of the customizing rules.
Yeah, that's a good point. Good point there, Tony. That's excellent. Yeah, and then the next thing is, and you had touched on this, Tony, is what is the skill going to do? What is the skill not going to do? And this is where you want to write up that brief description of make your do and your don't list. What the skill should do and shouldn't do. So you probably want to have 2 or 3 entries in both of these lists. That might actually tell you what skill you might want to link it to, or what characteristic you might want to. Yeah, it might change what characteristic you want to move it to. So, yeah, that's pretty simple. There. What next, Stefan?
After that is to consider when you're creating a skill, does this new skill basically do what another skill already does? Is there another skill that's compare it to?
Gotcha.
That already covers it. So that way you don't have duplicates or something that's too close. So it kind of linked to what the do's and don'ts. That might help you determine if swimming, let's say for example, is too close to athletics, and you don't want to create a swimming skill because swimming won't come up all that often, then you can probably say, no, we'll just use athletics when it comes up.
Yeah, that's a good point, too.
Because I think athletics is brawn-based, if I don't...
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, so that might be a good... But if you're in a water world, maybe where almost everyone needs to swim, well, you replace maybe athletics with swimming.
Right.
Okay. Now, there's 3 ways to determine that, whether it's a skill that's already in use and whether it should be what you should do. There's 3 ways to slice that. The first is don't even bother.
Yeah.
Right? Don't even bother making a new skill, just use the old one. You said that.
Yeah.
The second one was eliminate the old skill and replace it. And the example that they use is the ranged and melee combat. In like advanced futuristic settings, to get rid of melee light and melee heavy and just have it be melee.
Yeah.
In fantasy settings, they don't have ranged light, ranged heavy. They just have ranged.
Yep.
Because, and so in this case, if you're looking at a skill like that you want, like he said, like Stefan said, if you've got a water world thing and you're looking at swimming, you could add it to the skill list and have it be a separate thing, or you could just replace it and have it take the place of the existing skill that it could fit.
Exactly. And it's kind of what FFG did with the computer skill in Shadows of the Beanstalk. It's like, hey, that's going to hacking, slicing, call it what you will, is going to be a focus of this system. Let's break this skill down a bit. So they have the defensive type of, the OPSEC part.
sysops.
Yeah, the sysops and the hacking part. So they got rid of the old skill computers and they created 2 new ones. So
that's it, because it is an important part of cyberpunk kind of setting.
Absolutely.
Very much. Yes.
And it's enough that, yes, there is a focus on both either the hacking or defending, like you said, for that. So it could be 2 very different types of skill sets needed.
Yeah, absolutely.
So a hacker might know a little bit about sysops defending, but because he needs to go know his enemy, but it's not his focus. He'll know more about hacking.
And this third one here, eliminate the particular use in the old skill. We go back to the athletics and swim, right? Athletics normally covers swimming. Well, you say athletics doesn't include that anymore, and now you have this swim skill that does cover the task that you want them to do.
Well, like for example, if you're in the water world, you're not going to be tumbling and doing all these maneuvers in water. Swimming will do that. It'll allow you to make these kind of maneuvers through water, maybe outmaneuver your opponent while you're swimming up and over, or.
That's right.
It's at least a way of flavoring it that is consistent. Let's say in this case with the our setting that we're beating as a dead horse kind of thing.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
It's an example, but anyway. And then there's also the mention of how useful this will be in your game. If the skill will not be that useful, only used maybe once in a while, like they say, like a science fiction setting, might not need a wood carving skill.
Damn, I just came up with a new character. I just came up with a new concept.
There you go.
Lumberjack in Shadows of the Beanstalk.
and then in the reverse would be a fantasy setting doesn't need a computer skill, so you can eliminate some of those skills depending on your setting.
Yep.
Right. Now they talk in the little bit here about how to tweak your skill and how to know whether it's good or not. The too broad and too focused entries here. Too broad, when you create a skill, you need to make sure that it isn't so broad that a character can accomplish too wide range of tasks with it. And I use the example of, we had a listener a while back that was talking about doing a Star Trek conversion, and he was wanting to use operating, or maybe it was someone I was talking to online, but he was wanting to use operating for every skill check on a starship. And while that seemed like it made sense based on the core reasoning behind the description of operating in the Genesys core rulebook, it really doesn't fit when everyone's on a starship and you're making everyone, basically, it's the Uber skill. Everything is operating based, and then talents refine it. Well, it becomes an Uber skill. Everybody puts all their points in it, and it causes it to be too broad. And that's why I thought, no, what you really should do is have computers be the communications, have mechanics be in engineering, have your operating be for the people who are flying the ship, and other things. And I made that suggestion. I think it was online, and
gunnery for the weapons, because you can't use operating for the weapons. That's what the gunnery skill is for.
Or you
because
could go,
when you think of the Star Trek crew, while so and so could sit down at the computer and talk at the computer, they're nowhere near the linguist that Uhura was, and the communication specialist that she would be, and they're not going to have her skill set. But if everyone is focused on operating, any player sitting down at that position can do what the other player could do.
Though you could take operating and split it up into science, communications, engineering, security, right? You could break it up into 4, which actually gets us into the sidebar here a little bit, which is called skill bloat, where you don't necessarily want to add too many skills where the XP is just, oh my gosh, they're going to be spending their XP on skills and nothing else. Right?
Or else you get a Will Wheaton character, who does everything.
But there are many different ways to do that,
And then the last thing you want to watch out for is making a skill too focused. It's the exact opposite of making it too broad. A skill that is too focused is only focused on completing one specific task, and it's not going to come up very often in your game, maybe every other session. Don't bother with it.
One
Roll
example
it in under another skill.
One example I can find is like lock picking. It could be if it's really important to the setting, but usually it's so specific that it could be just part of the skullduggery, and that's it.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good example.
Great example.
Yep. Now log rolling.
Well,
that's for my lumberjack. I mean, you might
That's
be able
coordination. Shut up.
I mean, that's No, log rolling, specifically rolling. Trying to
on the
stay on my
log, right? And then there's speed log splitting, log carving.
And I'm pretty sure when I'm putting points and ranks into lumberjacking, throwing axes is going to be in lumberjacking, not ranged light. Sorry.
Exactly. And then there's also seduction. There's also seduction because then you've got the sexy lumberjack look.
That's right. In the bikini,
right, you've gone too far.
Sasquatches and right.
Got the charm, part of charm as well.
That's great.
Okay,
and so wrong, but great.
Very much so. There's some things you can't unsee.
No.
And then I guess
all right, and
go ahead, Tony.
this last thing is just making sure that you count.
Yeah.
It says here counting the skill characteristic links, and it's what I mentioned before.
Mm-hmm.
When developing skills, you need to keep in mind that how many other skills are linked to each characteristic, because you don't want to turn a certain characteristic into the uber characteristic. Going the same route there, you kind of want to spread them out. If you're going to add 5 new skills to your game, make sure you try and spread them out. Don't put them all under intellect.
That's right.
Or all agility.
Or all agility based, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. So that being said, we did some skills. We brainstormed some skills for our.
We surely did.
For our setting.
Yes, we did.
Way back when, and I copied those over into our show notes, and we had talked about. I'll open up with the first 2 here because we wanted to have psychic combat be a thing between mentalists.
Yep.
And we wanted it to be something that could be like a mini game going on at the same time in combat. And we already have a template for this existing out there with computers and sysops and hacking at sysops in Shadow of the Beanstalk. So we decided we were going to go with mental assault and mental defense as 2 skills that are tied to the same process. So mental assault is getting into someone else's brain.
Yeah.
Number 1.
Battering their defenses.
You're trying to get information from their brain. You're trying to get emotions from them, or you're trying to make them feel a certain way. There's 3 things that it does right there. But what it doesn't do is it doesn't protect the person who's attacking.
No.
It doesn't allow them to do special psychic attacks like moving objects with their mind. And it doesn't allow them to shoot mind bullets.
No.
So there's 3 things that it doesn't do. But the defense on the other side of that, which is basically our sysops for our mental combat, that would have a list of do's and don'ts, which are the exact. The do's are the exact opposite of the other one. You use it for protecting your thoughts. You use it for protecting those around you. You can possibly protect and hide your emotions. Maybe even can be used to hide your psychic powers.
Interesting.
Yeah, like suppress them temporarily. Like, no, there's nothing to see here. I'm not force sensitive at all. I mean, psionic at all.
All right. I've got a question for you guys. Thinking of these 2 skills, mental assault and mental defense, it feels like we've just broken discipline, the skill discipline up, like they broke computers up.
Why, yes.
Just a little bit.
What else is discipline used for, though?
discipline's used for the mental defenses and such too, and then also what else? What else?
But what else is it used? What is discipline used for in other systems, in other games? It's used for fear checks.
Fear checks. Yeah, that's true. That is true.
Okay,
But
is there anything
argue,
else?
I could probably argue that mental defense. You could probably, if you have your mental defenses, you could put up those walls against fear. Put that into a little. Go ahead.
Oh, here's what I was thinking. Mm-hmm. Okay, you're on the right track. I kind of thought the same thing, that we would kind of have to lose discipline, possibly.
I'm thinking.
And I was thinking of that fear checks thing.
Yeah.
Well, there's another skill that very rarely gets used outside of initiative that fear checks could be rolled into. Cool.
Yeah, cool is often used for initiative when you're expecting it. Of course, that being said, you can still keep discipline for those characters who do not have psychic abilities. This is their way of at least putting up some defenses. Maybe not as good as the actual mental defense.
So then are we requiring psionic abilities before you can even put ranks in mental defense or mental assault?
Well, I think they're going to be skills that only appear in certain careers.
Well, yeah.
Right.
And kind of like magic skills, you're not going to be able to get them unless they are a career skill.
Got it. Okay.
Because here's the other
If that's
reason.
the case, then maybe we do want it, but then we definitely want to leave discipline in.
And here's the other case I have for keeping discipline in.
Yeah.
Our last show, we added 2 psionic races that both use discipline in their special abilities.
Right.
Oh, we sure did, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
So
that's a good one. That's a good reason, Tony. No, I was just, I was thinking of skill. We were just talking about skill bloat, and I was just thinking, just had it in my brain, does discipline need to be there? But it looks like it does, and it's, I like it.
Okay, and the last part about these 2 skills, and then I'll be done with these 2 skills, what characteristics did we link them to? So mental assault is very much enforcing your will upon another person. So there is a case for it to be willpower. However, I liked the idea when we initially drew them up that it's more about pushing your personality on somebody else. And therefore, it's presence-based.
Yep. Yeah,
I can see presence of someone who is a forceful personality, not being afraid to be out there and throwing their own projection, their own personality out there.
Projecting their mind into someone else.
That's it. It's like, this is me. You're going to listen to me. You're going to be afraid.
That's right.
Whereas willpower is like, no, you're not you're not fearful at all. You're just a meek little moth man.
Exactly. And so we go to mental defense, which is willpower based.
Yep.
So we have 2 skills. We have mental assault, presence based, and it's going to act like hacking another person's brain. And then we have mental defense, which is willpower based, and it's going to act like sysops for protecting brains.
Sweet.
And I don't see where the special abilities of those psychic races we created couldn't be switched to mental defense. That way, they don't have to spend points into discipline.
Stop arguing.
No, but
well, we're fleshing these out, buddy.
those races that aren't psychic, of course, they'll use discipline as their default way of resisting someone's mental assault. It might not be as good as an actual mental defense.
So instead of the Hinal, the Zol Hinal, beginning with a rank in discipline, where you're thinking a rank in mental defense.
Mental defense might be maybe good for them. That's what they're trained for. They're psychic.
Yep.
If the Zol Hinal takes that particular career of mentalic or whatever I named it.
I haven't seen
may change,
careers yet. Yeah.
So
brainstormed on those.
Because someone who's not trained the only defense is I'm just going to recite some Shakespeare over and over again. That's my only defense.
So Tony, what other race were you thinking that was based on discipline? Because I saw the one...
Near the Moosator.
Moosator.
Oh gosh, I was thinking of insects. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
Well, the Zoltanol is the insect one for the moth.
Yep. Forgot we had the other dudes.
And the Amoose can read surface emotions with a discipline check, I believe. So, anyhow,
yeah, for that one, I would if we get rid of discipline, I would say that'd be more of a mental attack.
Yeah, they're trying to get something
versus a mental defense.
All right, so we have to make a final decision here on these three skills because we could sit here and debate them all night long.
My vote is get rid of discipline and make cool fear checks. That's my vote.
Make cool for fear checks.
Yep.
Not make them career-specific skills that someone can eventually take at any time.
Sorry, what do you mean by that?
What I mean is, how is your average, regular, everyday Joe going to defend against a psychic attack? He's not going to if he doesn't have ranks in. He's going to make defense.
He's going to make a mental defense roll.
So we're not making them career specific. That's what I said.
I'm thinking. Well, they can. Yes, as in you could put ranks in them. Even if you don't, if it's not in your career skill, it's just going to cost you more, right? It'll cost you the extra 5 XP per rank.
I
right?
just was not. That's what I'm thinking. Don't want them to act like magic skills. We want them to act like regular skills.
Right. So then what? So if we do that, so then what would the mental attack be? There's this
assault.
Mental assault. So this mind shadowing, I could see that as a mental assault versus a mental defense to get those surface thoughts.
Correct. Right. I'd have to change the species ability. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but that's easily done. That's just a couple of words.
Yeah, and I would think instead of, and then I would think they would start with the mental assault instead of discipline.
Yes. Yeah. They'd start with a rank in mental assault.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah. So they're now normal skills that any Joe Blow can take, and it's okay.
If I'm playing somebody who is not psychically, if I don't know about psychics, like psionics or whatever, and my character hasn't experienced that yet, I wouldn't put ranks in it. That's my own personal player preference as I play, right? But as my character experiences those mind blasts, it's like, crap, I might have to go talk to the whoever in my party can do it. And, you know what I mean? So it could be some role-playing moments there for it and whatever, but...
Yeah, and you learn a bit more how to defend against it, and you have maybe ranks in mental defense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds like we're decided. Fear is going to be rolled into cool.
Mm-hmm.
So what aspect of cool are we going to lose? Let's look at the cool do's and don'ts.
Okay.
Is there anything that that cool is used for? Cool is used for some social skills. And it's also used for initiative right now. But beyond that, I don't know if there's a third use for it.
Well, they do mention a few things like staying calm, maintaining your composure, outweighing your opponent. So that could. That
for me,
definitely some.
Keeping your nerve in a tense situation. That's a fear check.
That would be a fear check. That's easy to stretch that to a fear check. That's not a problem.
Yep, that seems like a great one to just go, you know what? Instead of having that wording for cool in our system, instead of it saying in our game, instead of it saying you keep your nerve in a tense situation, you roll a cool check. Anytime you wish to resist fear or keep your nerves, roll a cool check.
Right.
Yep.
Simple enough. I like that.
Absolutely.
That works. Okay.
All right, so there we go.
So we've already done several of the different aspects of it. We've done the troubleshooting back and forth. On to the next skill. Who wants to take that one?
Go ahead, Stefan.
All right. Well, the next skill is the spellcasting kind of skill for our setting called psionics. So instead of having arcane, primal, or divine, this is a new one called psionics. And we'll be basing it on intellect. Because it is overall how learned, smart your character is. And how in tune maybe he is with his own mind.
Okay.
So what it would do. So what we want psionics to do would be similar, I guess, to some of the spellcasting skills.
Yeah.
Correct. Yes. Way we had originally thought of it is this was going to be our catch-all for kind of magic.
Right.
But do we want it to have, as with all the other magic skills, when you're building a magic skill, you got to have a list of things that it can do, and things it can't do. Do we want to have it have access to all of them? Do we want to limit it? Do we want to add some of the new ones that other people have created for their works? What do you think, guys?
Well, I would see some abilities be restricted. Like maybe psionics can't do a dispel. They can't just dispel. They can do physical attacks.
It can do physical attacks. You've seen psionic pyromancers be able to add fire to their psychic attacks. I don't see any problem with... I think attack is probably definitely going to be on the list.
Yep.
Yeah. Sometimes you hear about pyrokinesis or cryokinesis or...
I don't
like
think...
that.
So,
Conjure would not be something I would see myself. They don't summon, objects out of thin air or creatures, so they would not be able to dispel or conjure. They could do some accelerate someone's metabolism so they can heal.
Yep, I definitely think heal.
Augment,
most definitely.
Augment. Now,
barrier.
Yep.
Some mental barriers or, psychic wall, like, stopping bullets from coming in mentally.
Okay. You don't think conjure or dispel, but heal and curse.
Curse, yeah, because you're mentally crippling your opponent. It would be kind of an attack, but not really. You're just maybe confusing their senses, so they're, having some penalties to certain actions, whether it's like losing their agility or hand-eye coordination, or their thoughts are confused. Like, okay, I'm trying to defuse this bomb, and I have no more knowledge of repair skills.
So you like a befuddling attack.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
However the psychic can describe it. Maybe he's cursed and he's trying to determine which wires to cut, and suddenly all these wires are now worms and centipedes. Like, wow, what the hell?
That's an interesting take. Yeah. Okay. What about the... let's take, for lack of a better idea here, what about a certain friend of ours that did a little supplement that we just talked about earlier?
Yeah, Scott, Jane Smith.
Yeah, and the new effects that he added.
Well, I said those would definitely fit. The mind.
The mind seems a little
attack.
more rolled into our psychic assault type and dialed in. But
Good
I
thing
like
I just
the
bought
move.
this. I'm glad I just bought. Glad I just bought this.
Oh, it's that mind.
Yeah.
Might be more of a mental attack.
Move spells, I think. Move spells.
Definitely.
So move spells are used to displace an object or a character from one place to another.
Mm-hmm.
Could take the form of wind, mental force.
Yeah.
So you're levitating things, teleporting things. This seems like a thing that you could do with psionics.
I don't know about curse, though, to be honest. Why don't I feel I have a warm, fuzzy feeling that you'd be able to curse somebody with your mind? I guess you could in a way.
Well, look at the
thought. You could trap it as you're putting a thought into their mind, like a voodoo doll, right? Granted, that's voodoo, but kind of a voodoo curse. Isn't that more mind over matter? Mentally, you throw a. Yeah, I kind of like that. I guess.
So, would we like to add any of these extra effects that other people have created to it?
I think we can add at least curse and see if it works, and we can always, like I said, we're not.
I think I'm okay with
locked
curse
in, and we can always remove it if we think it's either superfluous or too powerful.
I think really
whatever.
the only two. I think we get rid of conjure, dispel, add in mind and move from.
Now, see what
Drainsmith's document here.
Now his mind. What does it do? Because it's not coming up on my document.
Okay, mind. It says mind spells are magic that tampers with another character's thoughts, either reading or manipulating. So a narrative encounter use, you can mind tricks. Yeah, this is your Jedi mind tricks. Like, these aren't the droids you're looking for. Or
that would be our mental attack, kind of.
Something like that. Yep. And in a structured encounter, you make a hard magic check. Learns the simple surface thoughts of the target. So we might even be able to, so that...
I think that aspect of it
dominate.
Goes into our mental assault skill and not this skill.
So instead of mind, so we take basically mind here, and we're calling it basically mental assault.
Well, it's things that I would use to then create the various different mental assault actions that you could do.
Yep. Learn a motivation. Learn a memory. Erase memory. What?
Yeah. Dominate. Totally control them like a.
Oh yeah, this is definitely. Oh man, yeah, this is definitely that mental assault. Most definitely. Thank you, Drainsmith, for this table.
Yes, and again, before we actually print a document with this in it, we'll obviously get Scott's permission to use it. But I like the move for our psionics power.
Yeah. Oh, that's that's good because you always see, psychics, even like Jean Grey from the X-Men, and she's a powerful telekinetic. She can move stuff with her mind, things that are really huge.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, that is cool for psionics.
Yeah.
So we don't use mind as a mental, as a magic action. That's mental attack, and then we will use move.
Mental assault.
Yeah, as mental assault, and then we'll use move as a telekinetic ability.
All right. Psionics, right.
Right.
So then every pseudo magic skill has to have a linked knowledge skill, and I believe we were talking about this knowledge metaphysics being our linked knowledge skill for psionics, right?
Correct.
Because I went out onto the interwebs and got a definition of what metaphysics is. It is a major branch of philosophy that concerns existence and the nature of things that exist. Basically, it's a theory of reality. And that's effectively what you're doing with your mind. Is that thing really there? No, it's invisible, but I knew that it was just there. Is it really there? Right? I mean, yeah.
Okay.
So
that's our case for having metaphysics, for sure.
That's our case for having metaphysics, right. So
metaphysics is also intellect-based, because as with all knowledges are intellect-based.
Yeah, definitely.
Right. So what does this knowledge skill do? It'll let you know. You'll want to know what you want to know about psionics and the theory of reality.
Theories of how to apply your psionic abilities to reality, how it can warp reality around you.
If you want to
how to identify and use psychic devices.
Yeah.
There you go. Absolutely.
Recognize other people's or the past maybe uses of psionics maybe in the area, or the effects, or maybe is this person under the influence of right now?
That's right. And you know what? You certainly won't be able to use this knowledge skill to do is get out of a maze.
Yeah.
There's a specific skill we're going to be using for that you would be able to use for that.
Whatever.
To create a healing potion or an alchemist potion or blacksmith make somebody a pauldron, right? Yep. You wouldn't use metaphysics for that.
Nope.
See? So there we go. We got some don'ts.
So what would we use for that, though?
We just said knowledge metaphysics.
Oh,
we just said it. We just did our little.
No.
Are you with me?
What would we use?
What would we use for creating a pauldron? Right?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. What would you use for that?
Science, knowledge,
there
science,
pairs.
Okay, so we think we need a knowledge science then, right?
Right.
And we have one.
Yes, we do. I cheated. I looked. What would we use? What other knowledges do we have? Knowledge science.
Right.
There you go. That's kind of what I was alluding to there, that you weren't following.
And I didn't think you were following. I gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyhow.
So then we talk about knowledge science then, right?
Yeah, we could skip on to knowledge science, which we have. Obviously, it's going to entail. It's basically knowledge science right out of the book from I think it's in the Shadow of the Beanstalk.
Is it really?
To be honest.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I was thinking this is definitely the skill when I was thinking of the Zamorians. This is basically their skill, right? I mean, it's a science, technology, and advancement, and innovation. Making new things, tinkering,
research theory.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Or analyzing something that's already been created by science.
Right.
Reverse engineering.
Right. Doing like some sort of, if you want to know what the biological makeup of something is, or chemistry, that's science. All science.
Yep.
What does it say?
And that's exactly. It says specific more to that setting. It says your character's trying to recall the formula for a chemical or a drug.
Oh, there you go.
Your character's trying to remember the name of a specific lunar crater. I don't think that's the case, but for us, that's you're remembering the schematic for a certain device. Mm-hmm. That's the same. You correlate trajectory of a spacecraft. That's right up that alley. Science.
I would even go so far as
your character knows.
Go ahead.
Your character knows how many people can be carried by a certain type of rope before it breaks.
That's
simple
perfect.
math.
I mean, I would even go so far as to say the first caveman that made fire would have a rank in science. In advanced technology, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he was advanced in technology.
He put a sharp rock on the end of his stick and threw it at an elk.
Exactly.
No, he was just rolling. He was rolling survival. Shut up.
No, he wasn't. He was making his lumberjack skill, motherfucker, to throw that goddamn hatchet that he made.
He was just doing what he had to do to survive. Survival.
And he invented plaid.
Yeah, he did.
Invented the plaid fur pelt.
Oh, jeez, I need more whiskey for this show.
Yeah, you do.
Chris is an honorary Canadian now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Don't you know?
He lives close enough.
Yeah.
What science won't tell you to do, though, what science won't be able to allow you to do, is to know how you don't remember what you just were trying to do. Right? That'd be metaphysics, baby.
Correct.
Why don't I have a mind?
All right. So we have another skill that we put here in between these two that we put down. We want to quantify this one. What's this one, Stefan?
Knowledge multiverse. What the heck is that?
Well, my thought process is we have a lot of geography normally, but in this case, you have not so much of a geography, where you have this bar that's jumping between worlds.
Yep.
So knowing things about all the different places that the bar can go to, all the different realms are going to, levels of technology, all the people that are in those places, cultural differences. This would be knowledge multiverse.
Mm-hmm.
Right, because it's basically knowledge of multiple universes, which is kind of a mishmash of both words, right?
Yeah!
That's right.
Which kind of brings, sometimes when I used to read comic books where they talked about these multiverses, you had different versions of Earth.
Yep.
So slightly different versions of Batman or the Justice League. Mm-hmm. Same thing with even Marvel did that too. We actually killed She-Hulk. No, why is she back? Oh, she's the She-Hulk from Earth 122.
Yep, there you go. And I did another Google search, and it says that these universes comprise everything that exists as well. The entirety of space, time, matter, energy, information, and the physical laws and constants that describe them. That's your multiverse knowledge. You want to drop some knowledge?
It would be important because maybe some of the physical or environmental effects on Zal are different than where the various Minotaurs or Tauran race comes from.
Well, the Taurans were seeded across the multiverse. They have no home world. They're everywhere.
They're everywhere.
Oh, okay.
They are ubiquitous. Well,
right.
Ooh,
there's
big
a
word.
big word. Yeah.
That's a
$10 word there, buddy.
There it is.
So, no, but and then where the various humans come from, that you created, they might have slightly different rules where they come from.
Yep.
And the Zols, their own world might be a little different.
Now, what is knowledge multiverse not used for?
Well, being able to frickin' stay on a log rolling, you won't be able to do that. That's your lumberjack skill. I'm gonna get that in this. You know that, right? Oh, I see that, Tony. You're my number one too.
No.
You can't just swim either.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
yes, knowledge multiverse is not going to be used for the science of traveling between the universes.
No, correct.
That would be more of a knowledge science thing. Likewise, it's not going to be used for noticing when a psychic is using their psychic powers.
No.
Mm-hmm.
And but it may also be used for one other thing that I'll add later. But anyhow, moving on. What it's not going to be used for is, say, knowing about computers. That's going to fall under your computer skill.
That's right.
All right. We have one last skill, and somebody's got to sell me on whether this is worth a crap, because I wrote it down as trash.
Well, yeah, we wrote it down. It was created. Tony threw it in because it's kind of inspired by the Minotaurs, of course. So.
Chris, go ahead.
Okay, what the knowledge mazes skill will allow you to do. What it'll do, what it does, you won't get lost anywhere. Because you always kind of know the way. You'll always kind of be able to make a knowledge mazes roll to know where you are.
That's survival.
Whatever, dude.
That could be survival.
Especially in a maze.
Yeah, but survival doesn't cover, let's say, urban environments or inside a building. So that's
streetwise.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's right.
So, what if you're trapped in a maze? Well, and you need to have knowledge to get out of it. What are you going to use to get out of it?
Knowledge
You're going to use all
mazes.
your other skills, not knowledge mazes.
There's
no reason to have it.
Yeah,
There's
because you'll know whether somebody would be putting you'll know whether somebody's going to be putting like a dead end here.
Are we going to have mazes in every session?
Yeah.
If there's a Minotaur, yes, of course.
Yeah.
No, we're not.
You know what's going to be
mazes.
This
isn't mazes and monster.
You know what's going to be in the middle of the maze, though, Tony? There's always going to be a big pool in the middle of the maze.
An Amos?
No, there's going to be
the Bog of Stench.
No, there's going to be a big pool in the middle of the maze with 2 logs on it.
All right. So,
Well, hang on a second. Hang on a second.
Knowledge mazes isn't trash yet.
Wait a minute. Now, there is another role-playing system thing that uses riddling as a skill. Riddling, as in riddles. Like,
riddling, that's part of medicine.
You know, if you have a ring in your pocket and you're trying to trick somebody into not finding it, you know, you need to do
deception.
Riddles. Whatever, dude. But it's
That's
riddles.
Deception. No.
But it's a skill. But hang on a second. But that. So when I say riddling, right? So you need to figure out riddles. What do you immediately think of? What setting do you immediately think of?
Well, that would be Lord of the Rings, obviously.
Obviously. So wouldn't we want a skill like that called knowledge mazes? So when somebody's like, "Hey, I got knowledge mazes," wait, Tales of the Epsilon Eclipse, perfect from FTN.
But then you might as well just switch it to knowledge lore. Knowledge lore, which would include knowledge about, riddles, songs that are popular in your time.
Yeah, but it's not mazes.
Tales, and it could include mazes.
While your arguments seem convincing to you, they haven't convinced anyone else.
Not
yet.
even a moment? Not once. Come on. Anybody listening to this? Okay.
Every instance you've mentioned that this skill could be used for is already under another skill.
Yeah, even knowledge history you could use instead of mazes.
But the most important one, though, is knowledge mazes will put a stamp on our setting to make it so unique.
No.
Yeah,
but you know this for a fact. That it's not the skills that make the setting.
Oh, I know it doesn't. But you know what? Frickin' lumberjacking is going to make this setting, buddy. I'm
going to throw this at you, buddy. Rule number 2 when customizing.
What?
Don't be afraid to scrap something that doesn't work.
I'm pretty sure it does.
And also the other mentioned, like, if it's too specific, if it's only used for mazes,
this can only be as specific as you want it to. I'm telling you.
Because if you're lost in the woods or in the mountains, that's survival.
Hey,
and Tony says, if you're lost in the city, that's streetwise.
Hey, when you're trying to go through a social combat, right? And you need to maneuver and go left and go right and go backwards and go left and right. That's mazes, man. You're moving to the left and right. You're going through a maze to navigate through that social encounter.
Now you're coercion and
negotiation.
Hey, I'm telling you.
Is this charade up
yet?
Are you done with this? Come on.
No,
I know this is junk.
No, I think it isn't. I honestly think that we could still use this. And right now, I'm going to call on our listeners out there, all 10 of you, or more, tens of you, hundreds of you, hopefully. Email us and tell these chuckleheads they're wrong and I'm right. And we need to keep knowledge mazes. Come on.
Stefan and I will be creating surveys on our social media.
Yes.
Is mazes useful or trash?
Hey, you need to frickin' work. You know I'm not on Facebook. And you listeners out there, keep these bastards honest. All right? You cannot phrase the question to make knowledge mazes bad. It needs to be purely biased.
We'll put it on MeWe too, and you're on MeWe as well, so you can monitor it.
I can monitor that, definitely. Come on, baby.
I'm telling you.
Knowledge mazes. No. And you know what, Tony? This is the first thing I think we've disagreed on.
Well,
since all these 45 episodes. Either you're like, yeah, Chris, you're right. Or I'm like, yeah, you know what, Tony? You're right. No, man, you're wrong, motherfucker. No.
The brothers from another mother are wrong or disagreeing. Oh, no, it's chaos.
This is our one chromosome that's not the same. Mazes is not a skill.
Yeah, and at the end in the middle of the maze where you've got your 2 logs.
Okay, here we go.
The person's challenging.
All right, this is it. I need buy-in. Okay,
Chris, the person challenging you is basically the Goblin King.
Okay,
of course.
I'm gonna Okay, you guys need buy-in on this, both of you guys. Okay.
No, it's trash.
No, hang on a minute. In all of these surveys, there has to be a write-in that people can vote for.
Right.
And if lumberjacking, Alex Ways,
No.
Knowledge Mazes,
No.
Lumberjacking is in, and Mazes is out. Thoughts? I vote yes. Anybody else? Come on, I just need one of you guys to say yes, right? Majority wins?
No.
Come on, Stefan.
No.
Tony? Come on, this will be fun. Come on. I thought you guys had fun. Come on, you can do it.
You want fun?
Those things fall under other skills.
That's not the point. That's
Yes,
so
it
not
is.
the point at this point.
Yes, it is.
All right, listeners, tell us what you think.
You're just
You can-
wanting to be right. That's all it is. That's your
can
point.
use-
That? No, it's
You can
not the
add.
fact that
You
I
can
gotta
add
be
your
right.
lumberjack skill.
I just want to
in
see what everybody thinks.
the machina. Your machina setting. Have your dwarves have
Nope.
a clan of dwarves have
You got to promise me when you guys put up these surveys. They can write in a skill. And listeners, lumberjacking.
Hey, if you're on MeWe too, make your own survey then about whether people should have lumberjack in our setting.
I haven't
Yeah,
done.
I'm
one
not
of those.
even writing that one down because that's ridiculous.
Come on.
If you want it, Chris,
You guys
have to
aren't
write
fun.
the survey then.
Hey, well,
All right, we still have one last little bit to this main portion besides getting down and dirty and arguing. We have the skills that we're going to throw right out that we're not going to use. So let's go over what we're not going to be using.
Right.
I listed some, but maybe you guys agree we should keep them. Alchemy.
No, I don't think so.
No need for it. Mechanics and science and
Yeah.
all the other stuff.
Yeah.
I don't think we need it.
I think science can handle alchemy, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay. All
Excuse
right.
me.
Or even medicine for certain types of drugs or
Yep. Astrocartography.
no, we're not
That'd
going to
be-
navigate.
I
in
think that would be
spaceships.
multiverse. That's multiverse shit, I think.
Yep. There
Exactly.
you go.
Or science.
Okay. The three magics: Arcana, Divine, Primal.
No,
We're not having
the
magic,
setting-
right? It's
No, the
science.
setting does not have magic. Yeah, does not have
Cool.
it. So
Okay. And we decided early on that we wanted advanced melee weapons and advanced weapons because we wanted kind of the dichotomy of cultures.
Yep.
So
Right.
what are we doing away with? We're going to do away with just plain melee and plain ranged.
right,
So we're going to have melee light, melee heavy, ranged light, and ranged heavy.
and brawl
I do have a
brawl
question.
And gunner.
and
Okay.
gunnery because it could happen.
I do have a question. Are we going to pull in the... I know it's not going to be unarmed combat focused or anything like that, but I wouldn't. I think we'll just stick with the brawl skill, right?
Yeah,
And we
Correct.
wouldn't pull in like the
ready fight
ready
kind of
fight
thing?
stuff.
no.
Although
no.
some of it's usable in bar fight scenes, I don't think it's the focus of our game.
not-
Wait, whoa, wait! Back the fuck up. What is the Epsilon Eclipse, Tony?
It's a bar, yes.
Yes,
You're not
it sure
always
is.
going to be in the bar getting into a fight.
I know,
yeah,
but
and none of
Just
the
this
races.
is the
What?
reason why lumberjacking has no place in our freaking setting. You're in a bar. Has nothing to do with the woods.
is it a log cabin?
No.
It can be though. If
But
the
it's not
Epsilon
always.
Eclipse end up, hey, hang on a second. What if the Epsilon
You're
Eclipse?
making my brain hurt.
Hey, this is a real question. What if I'm running a one shot, which I know I'm going to because you said
Of
we can
course,
rotate. If the Epsilon Eclipse ends up in northern Minnesota, Paul Bunyan country, at a lumberjack competition that you have
Then
to
you'd
win.
use a bunch of other skills and you do it as a skill challenge, not lumberjacking that only one player would have maybe one rank in.
How about the lumberjack?
So we're going to have a lumberjack career.
I'm done with you.
I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure everybody listening to this.
Yeah, I'm seeing
Is gonna
I'm
write
seeing
in
a
lumberjacking.
I'm seeing a one shot with lots of flannel and wood and axes.
I wonder
Hey,
who we're
if
gonna
you
get
want to
over.
run your one shot as a lumberjack festival, go right ahead. And if you think that it has to have the lumberjacking skill, for that episode,
Yeah.
so be it.
We'll have a lot of.
But I'm telling you,
We'll have a lot of Musators.
it ain't going in the final document.
A now.
Because right now, 2 of us say it isn't.
No.
That's why I'm saying it isn't.
There you go. All right. Shot down. Damn it.
Sorry.
I'm telling you, we got to get those surveys up.
We'll get them up.
Awesome. All right.
We'll get them up there. After you post the episode, we'll get the surveys up.
You do know that I'm having a ton of fun right now, aren't you?
I
guys?
know.
This is
Yeah,
great.
you don't normally argue, and I think you're getting a kick out of it.
I am.
Yeah.
You've been away from your wife too long.
You haven't been on Jamie's show in a while to just argue.
Yeah.
I know.
In circles.
It's not circles. This is not a circular argument. You need to go through a maze,
Oh, it's a triangle.
and you need.
God. So it's a labyrinth.
If it's a circular argument, then we're talking lumberjacking and, the log rolling skill. Anyways, we're going to go to the next segment.
All right. Welcome to our favorite part of the show. After arguing about mazes, we're going to be at least enjoying tripping each other up with advantageous threats, where we build our dice pools and roll them and aggregate them and see how what the dice results show up and what it ends up doing. So I think we'll start with this scenario, which is a little bit special, with Tony, since he sort of set the ball rolling.
Did you not hear what I said at the beginning of the
hold
show? Or no? You going to set up the scenario, Tony?
Yeah, I'll set up the scenario, and then
Sounds
I'll
good.
make a suggestion.
Yep.
So our scenario is our team is trying to escape from a bunch of Tommy gun-toting, pinstripe-suited gangsters on a city world culturally stuck in the Earth 1920s.
Nice.
The crew has just fled an alleyway to find 2 convertible cars parked at the curb. My character is going to want to jump in and start hotwire and steal one. However, before we do that, I think Chris should go because he has a plan to make it easier.
Absolutely, I do.
There you go.
Well, first off, my human lumberjack named Paul. No, I'm sorry. That was another one. No, my tree is a Zal Hinal of the insect race archetype that Stefan created.
Those are the
smart
Mothman.
ones. Those are the Mothmen. He is going to try and augment you guys, your 2 characters, during this crucial moment in the chase, using his psionic powers.
Nice.
So he's got an intellect of 4, 2 ranks in psionics. He'll be adding the additional target effect. However, and I made this item up while I was writing this up. He has a purple psi crystal, which reduces the difficulty by 1 whenever you add an additional target effect to a psionics check.
There we go.
Nice.
He'll also add the haste
Like an implement.
effect. Yeah, basically it's an implement. And whether that's, around his neck, rotating around his head, whatever. Haven't really thought of what that looks like yet. But he's also going to add the haste effect to the augment psionic action as well, which will allow our characters to take 2 maneuvers per round without spending strain. I guess 1 free one, I think. Right?
An additional
Okay.
free one. Mm-hmm. Cool.
So the check starts off as 2 yellow, 2 green for his positive dice pool. His negative dice pool starts off as 5 purple. However, because of his psi crystal, it reduces the difficulty to 4 purple.
There we
And
go.
that's his
Got
check to start with. Let me start building that up. What do you guys think? We're going to modify that some or what?
I think
Well, I pictured
Haste.
this happening at night
Okay.
in a crowded, foggy city
Okay.
So maybe a setback die for darkness?
Because because he's making a psionics check. Can I see you? Do I need to see you guys to do that though? He's probably going to be closing his eyes anyways. What's that? No, I have to be. We have to be engaged.
Well, you're closing your eyes and running?
No, I have to be engaged with you guys. Maybe because we're under the gun and we have to move quickly. We're under a time thing. We'll get a setback die.
Sure.
All right.
And I would flip a story point because there's bullets flying occasionally as these guys are running after us.
Nice.
Which kind of can throw a monkey wrench in your psionics when a bullet rips through your head, possibly.
Absolutely. So, other than that, what do you guys think?
Fine
I
with me.
think that's good.
All right, I can't think of a good reason to ask for a boost die either. So, I want to ask. I'm not channeling Stefan.
No.
Alrighty then. We have a whole bit of failure. So I have 2 failures, but 3 advantage. 2 failures, 3 advantage on that check. So I don't augment you. And
Augmenting. All right.
I'm thinking my
Couple of bullets came too close and broke your focus.
Yeah, broke my focus. However, it kind of broke my focus, but because I was focusing in on, making a psionics check, I kind of read I found something in the environment here, or something to give you, Tony. I actually noticed that one of the 2 cars would be better for you to boost. So I'm going to give you a boost die when you go, and then I'll give a boost die to the next person that's going to go, which will probably be Stefan's character.
That's it. So you mentally scan kind of the aura of the car. Like, yeah, this person who owned this car took particularly good care of it compared to the other person.
Something like that. Absolutely.
There we go.
How's that sound?
Okay. Sounds good to me.
Okay.
All right. And so then, it does make sense that Stefan go next.
Yeah. All right.
Because my character, being the engineer, is going to be the one to do the boost in the car.
Boost
exactly.
Right.
And I'm going to buy some time for our buddy Ginzel as Kurago the Longhorn, an albino rhinotaur. We'll buy some time for his buddy. While he hotwires the car, he steps forward, and as the bad guys are getting a little closer, will, with a show of immense strength, throw a nearby dumpster from one side of the alley to the next, and bellow frighteningly to upset the bad guys in there, and make them quake in their little loafers.
Nice.
So we're talking about a coercion check here.
Yeah, a coercion check, and I thought since he's using raw strength, maybe for this particular check, use his brawn instead of willpower.
I like it.
I like it. Me too. I like it too.
So that would be 4 dice, so 2 yellow and 2 green. But I haven't said the difficulty, so what would be a difficulty for these guys, these mooks or rivals, whatever?
Well, so a group of these guys probably are going to have a 2 in their willpower for their discipline to resist coercion. But you're picking up something that's super, super heavy.
It's probably hard.
So I think
hard.
we're going to add a difficulty die because of that.
Yeah.
All right.
Because you could theoretically fail and make yourself just look like a loser.
Right. So 3 purple.
That's right. Which is why I'm going to flip a story point. Because if you do get that despair...
Well, that's it. You never know. Some of the stuff in that dumpster might be greasy and slimy.
You could have chosen the... You could choose the full one instead of the empty dumpster. Right?
That's it. So he's just picking one.
Yet, you could have chosen the dumpster outside the orphanage with all the dirty diapers in it.
No! That's where my boost die comes in, where I actually get a scent, and let you know, don't pick up that one. Do not pick up that one right there.
So that's it. So I have the boost die from that.
Yep.
And Corago will at least spend a story point himself.
I think
flip one because he's big and intimidating on this world, and these guys have never seen a Rhinotaur.
Nice. Though I do think,
and he's wearing his own pinstripe suit and little fedora hat on the pointy top of his head.
With a feather in it.
No, he's got a red carnation though on his boutonniere.
I understand. Now, Tony, I do think your environment setback die is appropriate here, being that it is dark. The darkness is throwing this thing. You need to know where to throw it.
They might not even, because of the darkness, they might not see it as something that he did as a feat of strength.
Right. Yep.
All right.
So
we're looking at
single setback die for that.
Single setback die, single boost die, green, 3 yellow, a red, 2 purple.
Yes,
sounds
sir.
good to me. All right,
let's do it.
Corago.
Corago. Okay, so these are blank. There we go. So we've got quite a bit of advantage. This one's canceled by the threat there. I do manage to get at least 1 success.
Excellent.
All right. And so 1 success. That was canceled. And 1, 2, 3 advantage. No triumph, no despair.
Awesome.
So I managed to pick up the dumpster and throw it. It opens up with the advantages on one side. The flap opens as it tumbles and just spews some of these diapers and empty.
You shouldn't have picked that one.
He did pick that one, but he managed to flip it in the right way. It bounces off the wall, and you've got various baby stuff,
So they'll have difficult terrain.
Yeah, definitely, and they're covered in stinky throw up and.
Very nice. All right, so last in our encounter here, I have my character Ginzel Schmidlap, who is a Zemlian engineer. He will be using one of the following skills. You guys get to tell me which one it is. To hotwire a car. He's going to jump in for his maneuver, jump into the car, and he is going to hotwire it. Now, is that mechanics or skullduggery?
In this case, I would say mechanics. I would lean more towards mechanics because it's the mechanics of the car that you're fiddling with. Wiring stuff.
Yeah,
all right.
I'm good with that.
So I have a 3 yellow pool in mechanics.
Yep.
What's the difficulty?
Well, like you said earlier, Chris, like this car is like probably well maintained. It's a good car.
No, the one on your other left.
The wires aren't just easily accessible. It'll be hard because you have to actually get access to them. So at least 3 purple.
Okay,
but it is a car in the 1920s.
Yeah. It's not super high tech, not super complicated.
So I'm thinking it probably won't be hard. I think it will be an average check.
Right? Okay, go back down to average.
I think it might be average.
Okay.
To be honest.
So I'm at average right now, so I'm a 3 yellow and a boost die. Right. Now, and we really need to get away because we need to keep...
It is dark again.
Yep. So I can't see what I'm doing very well.
Not very well, no.
So I'll throw in a setback die.
The nearest street light is pretty far away. So.
and I think because you are under the gun and you do need to do it quickly, maybe that does make it harder because you have to do it real quick. You can't take your time on it. Maybe that.
Okay.
There you go. That'll do. That'll do for that.
Hard.
Because I was thinking
Since it's very important that the 3 of us get away without prolonging this firefight and potentially taking bullets, I'm going to spend a story point to upgrade and give myself another green die.
Right. And just because I'm that kind of a GM, I got to spend one. Because if you fail with a despair, oh man, we got to go to the second car that has the baby diapers in it.
All right.
Or another car, or some other mooks will show up because the ones I just distracted are just covered in poo.
There you go.
Very nice.
Let's see.
Is this my pool?
I believe so.
All right, so 3 yellow, 1 green, 2 purple, a red, and 1 of each is setback. And Boost sounds familiar. Okay, so first things first, I succeeded by one singular success.
All right. So you get it done just in an
I had absolutely no threat, so my 2 advantage carry through. However, I have a despair.
Oh, snap buckets.
Success with a despair with 2 advantage. So success means I hotwire the car.
Yep.
Hotwire the car.
2 advantage.
Yeah.
I would like for my 2 advantage to pass boost die to the next player to act or specifically to the Rhinotaur, because I know getting into this back seat of this tiny car is going to be difficult for him. So I'm going to go ahead and throw a boost die to him specifically. Basically, I scoop my seat up to make lots of room for him in the back.
That's right.
So he'll use his lumberjack skill to try and fit into small spaces.
That is a skill. Yeah.
My brain.
At least he'll get 2 boost die on that check.
But
as we hop in, and Ginzel just kind of pulls out, coming around the corner. There's another vehicle, and now we're into a vehicle chase because their buddies have caught up.
Yeah.
So now we got a car full of Tommy gun wielding pinstripe suit wearing gangsters behind us.
That's right.
And Chris, that's your use of the despair?
Yes.
Or just a narrative? Because I thought that just could. Because I thought that could just be part of the story, and maybe the despair is like banked by the GM saying that could be a problem with the car. Because you've got a heavy weight now in the back, that the suspension might might let go at any time.
Or you fail to notice that it was on an eighth of a tank.
That's true. Or if he fails that driving check, the Rhinotaur might go through the ceiling and out of the car when you hit the bump. Sweet.
Nice.
That was good.
Suddenly it's a convertible.
Well, it was a convertible to start.
Right.
Or he's out of it. Oh, that's true.
Well, the top was maybe up. Now it's down.
We'll definitely what do you call it? We're definitely going to bottom out that suspension, right? Yeah. With that Rhinotaur in the back.
It'll be a low rider pretty soon.
That's right. Alrighty. Well,
that was
I
fun.
think we're going to get on out of here, aren't we, gentlemen?
Sure.
I think so. We are at the end of our show.
Okay. All right, everybody. That's our show for the night, as lively as it was. Thank you, gentlemen.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun. I'm going to give a shout out here to, I don't know, there's this Dragon's Toolbox has opened again because this ancient red dragon has finally awoken. And
Rainbow Dragon has posted stuff up on his blog, the Dragon's Toolbox. Yes, that is by our own Stefan Dragonspawn. You could find his site on MeWe, and you do have it on blogspot.com. And I'll have the links in our show there for that. He posted a couple things today that you found on Amazon. I just found on Amazon by some happenstance, some chance, just like these modular little dry wet erase tiles for both either dungeon or forest stuff that you can put together. Instead of just having one big map, you just draw little sections and put them on the map as soon as the players advance. And a little area of effect template that was pretty cool, transparent plastic that you just put on the map there. And that's a 10-foot cube. Yeah, that's awesome. Where that covers that.
Hey man, hey Clarence, if you're listening, I know we already bought you area effect templates because you killed our fucking players when you fireballed us. Which the GM always loves it when players hit each other with damage. Yeah. You can check these out, dude.
Yeah. It includes round area effects, cubes, cones, and the D12 kind of wheel that if you want to determine random misses, if you throw an alchemist fire or a grenade, like, all right, You failed your roll, so where does it land?
Cool. Very cool, dude. Yeah, you can find
Not
that.
too expensive. And
You can find those things and all kinds of other goodies
Yep.
in your toolbox there, dude.
yep, you can go in the backlog and talk about paper minis. I talk about lists of things and other things that way back when I found useful, and even online maps for random city generator maps.
Cool. Alrighty then.
So there you go.
All right. So, what do you have for us, Stefan, for reminders?
Reminder that we mentioned a little bit at the beginning that FFG announced that both the GM screen and the expanded player's guide will soon be shipping. So I was part of those who pre-ordered, so I got an email. I know some other people on social media posted like little screenshots of their email.
Cool.
Oh, it's shipping soon. Ooh, cool. So we'll be on the lookout for that, and once it comes out, hopefully we'll be able to read through it ourselves and review it.
Yeah.
Well, not only will we have a review show, but we'll also probably, coming up, we've got a show revisiting, per a listener request, revisiting Magic.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll incorporate the stuff that comes from the Advanced Player's Guide.
That's it. And maybe coincide that with Drainsmith's new supplement. His
Expanded Player's Guide. What is it called? Expanded?
Expanded
I think it's Expanded Player's Guide.
Yes,
yeah.
Expanded Player's Guide. Yeah, you said expanded.
It is expanded.
Yes.
Not expended.
No,
Did
no,
I
it's
say
not
expanded?
It's not extended either. So.
All right. Well,
Well,
if you have things you want to say to us, maybe perhaps you want to tell Chris that his lumberjacking idea is full of shit, or you'd like to tell Chris that mazes is not a skill.
Or if you want to tell Tony he's totally fucking wrong about both of those things, feel free.
That'd be an email to us at findingthenarrativepodcast@gmail.com, or you can reach us Finding the Narrative on Facebook. You can contact Stefan over at our Twitter feed at @FTN_Genesis, and you can get a hold of all three of us. Maybe start an argument in chat, in our MeWe chat, for Finding the Narrative on MeWe. And again, we're listenable on Podbean, iTunes, YouTube, Google Play, Spotify, so on and so forth.
Yeah, you can all tell us to get lost in a maze somehow.
Yes.
This is Tony. Keep saying, I've been saying it all along, keep rolling them bones, but think it just for Chris tonight. I'm going to say, keep rolling them logs.
Oh, you the man. Thank you, Tony.
No, those little brown logs. Howdy-ho, everybody. And this is Stefan saying, don't forget to ask for those boost dice.
And this is Chris saying, remember the rule of cool, and I can't think of anything witty to come back with, but just have fun like we did tonight. Thank you, guys.
And mazes are fun, apparently. Lumberjack mazes are fun.
There it is.
Finding the Narrative, a Genesys RPG podcast, is not affiliated with or endorsed by any companies mentioned in this show. Any of the products mentioned on our show or appear on our website are the property and copyright of their respected owners. All items are used under fair use and educational and review purposes. All other items are the intellectual property of Finding the Narrative, a Genesys RPG podcast. Copyright 2019, all rights reserved.